Leadership thinker John C. Maxwell says, in fact dedicated a whole book to this, he says, the difference between average people and truly achieving people is their attitude to and response to failure. Whether we own our failures, own our shortcomings, according to Maxwell in his entire book, is the difference between great people and average people. We all know how hard it is. It's almost like we're instinctively addicted to blaming others. The person that we so often hold least responsible for our actions is ourselves. It's sometimes our genetics, our parents, our grandparents, our upbringing, the people around us, the circumstances we're in. Everybody bears responsibility except for ourselves. Look at Israel today, approaching the third elections. If one looks at the last round of all the negotiations, everybody's pointing fingers at everybody. Everybody else should have compromised. Everyone's pointing fingers at everybody else. No one's taking responsibility. Hence, a third election in 3 years, unprecedented in Israel. It is so much easier to point a finger at others than to take responsibility ourselves. That is why in this week's Parasha we meet one of the greatest leadership qualities of Yehudah, Judah, which in fact enshrine him as the great leader and leadership tribe of Israel. And indeed, according to the Chidushei Harim, while we eventually all Jews are called Jews after the tribe of Yehudah. It was the ability to take full responsibility and acknowledge a failure. We all know the story of Tamar, his daughter-in-law, which he should have given to Shelah, his son, but didn't because two of the other sons, her husbands, had died. But according to law, he should have given her to his remaining son. He didn't do it. She was accused of having an affair, of sleeping with somebody. In fact, the person who erred here was Yehudah himself. He could have put her to death without anybody knowing. But she sent to him the signs that everybody would know that it was him who had committed the mistake with her. And what did he do straight away? He could have covered it up and nobody would have known. But what did he say straight away? As we know in the Parasha, Tzadka mimeni, she is right and I'm wrong. He admitted publicly that it was him who had made the mistake. And Chazal say, at that moment was born the great leader of Israel, Yehudah. So much so that in Parashat Vayeishev, in a couple of weeks' time, at the end, when Yaakov speaks to Judah, his son, he says, Ata yoducha achicha, your brothers will acknowledge and admit to you that you are the king. Why is that, say our sages? And it's in the Targum there. Because you acknowledged and owned up to your failing and your shortcoming. And that's the essence of being a Jew. The essence of leadership is taking full responsibility for our lives. We so often have the impulse to blame others, and everyone's to blame other than ourselves. But the essence of teshuvah, the essence why teshuvah is at the cornerstone of all of Jewish life, is because teshuvah, at the end of the day, repentance, returning, is first and foremost about vidui, about admitting, taking full responsibility and acknowledging that we are responsible for our lives and we need to own our shortcomings and our failures. The difference between average people and great people is their attitude to and response to failure. Shabbat Shalom.